Okay, so last time we met Rika, and then the old man showed up, and that's where we were at. Basically, is what happened. Cool, pretty cool. We'll see how this goes.
遅れて申し訳ないことです。昨日お電話くださった観光の方ですかね。
So yeah, this is the father, or Rika's father.
あ、はい。
お待たせして申し訳ねえ。いや、野良でちょいと遅れましてね。したらと、お乗りくださいな。天気もまんた崩れそうだから、ちゃけちゃけご案内しますよ。
I'm running a little behind because of the farm. Okay. Oh, thank you, Dianea, for the 27 months. Thank you very much. As always. Surplus! How are you? Surplus redeemed first. So close. So close, Dianea.
天気
yeah, I guess, yeah, you did. I wonder if it's possible for me to redeem first.
ああ、ここいらは崩れると早いよ。
You were watching stream, damn! Rika and Mion are like lesbians in bus stop. Is bus stop a reference to something? Here we go. Where's my deck of cards at? Oh, here it is. Ahem, ahem, ahem. Okay, I need to take this out. Why was the cat so small? It only drank condensed milk. Wow. Hinamizawa bus stop, the Higurashi concept story. I see, okay. Wait, what was the concept story? I don't think I know about this. Hope you're doing well, wait. Rissa as well. Alright, I have to think about it for a bit.
そうなったら、あんた写真さ撮るところじゃなくなるでしょ。ほら、乗って乗って。
Oh, and there she is. Wait, is this like all she communicates with? As she's younger? Just meep and nippa? Nippa? Wait, okay, yeah, so are you going to read Hopeless then, Dianea? Or are you, since you already know like the plot, you're not going to bother with it? Turning around, the girl was standing behind me with an intrigued expression. You already read Bus Stop. Oh, okay, I didn't know. Her body language somehow reminded me of a stray cat that followed you around after you played with it a little. So charming.
Okay,
no. So this is, so it's not the father. This is a different person. I'm the butthole. I don't even know if you can hear me. Goo goo gaga. That's good, Rissa. I'm happy for you. A girl named Rika with an immaculate smile, and an old man praising her while rubbing prayer beads in his hands. It was a rather mysterious sight to behold. So the girl turns her face at me, tilting her head in a little cutesy manner. After seeing that, the elder introduces me as a tourist who came to sightsee Hinamizawa. The girl Rika-chan said that with a smile as she clung onto my arm.
まあね。この村の自然がとても貴重だと聞いたんで、ぜひカメラに収めたいと思ったんだよ。
Okay. What'd you send me? Oh, wow. Okay. Hopeless made art for... I see. I see the Rika and Mion lesbianism happening here. They're high schoolers and they definitely seem older. They're like super gay, I don't know why. Sometimes it just be like that. Sometimes there's just Yuri because why not?
私はこう見えてもと とっても写真撮影が好きでね。
富竹2号なのです。
Also, she knows Tomitake at this point in time.
富竹？
牧野、僕も一緒に行ってはいけませんですか？
そんなレカちゃまが来ても面白いことなんか何もないですよ。
Makino, have we heard that name before?
レカちゃまは境内でマリア遊びでもしててくださいな。
A distinctly displeased expression creeped across Rika-chan's face. Being able to show one's emotions honestly on their faces was a privilege young children
も
had.
しお差し支えなければ、この子も連れて行ってあげてください。
When I said those helpful words, another smile spread across Rika-chan's face, with another nippa as she clung onto me again. Ah, not bad at all. I want this girl to call me Papa. Akasaka, it's someone else's child. There'll be no child kidnappings. Here? No. Father. Dad. Daddy. What am I doing? Ever since I met this girl, I was completely off my game. Just calm down.
風なかんと。
Hi, Ruben. Once again, joining at this guy fantasizing about kidnapping Rika and making her his own daughter.
レカちゃまはダメだ言うても聞かんしな。知ったらんと己くだせ。ささ、レカちゃまも。
The old man descended from the driver's seat and opened up the sliding door of the van, which had Onigafuchi Alliance Town Council stenciled on the side. Rika-chan brushed me aside, dove into a seat, and began bouncing around right away. It seemed like she was thoroughly enjoying the bouncy springs.
あんれレカちゃま。そんじゃお客さんが座れねえですよ。やだ、こら、レカちゃま。
Girls are nice. Did you guys see, by the way? Completely random. That one streamer, like, low tier god, completely random. He's always like, oh, what was it? Another notepad reveal. But this time it was like, this just reminds me of it because he's someone, yeah, that loser who was like, oh, I would never have a daughter. If I had a daughter, I wouldn't have a gender reveal party because if I had a daughter and I saw pink balloons, I would do this. And he showed like no reaction. And he's just like, why would you ever want a daughter? Like talking to people in chat. And then like it's found out that he just he has a daughter and he doesn't pay child support to her. And he's just not in her life. So I was just like, the reason I bring it up is just like, there's so many people who want, a daughter, just, they just, want a daughter, and then, like even Akasaka here, was like, girls are nice, like as in the daughter is nice. I wonder if my child play around likes too, and then it's just so strange. Yeah, he's an overall piece of yeah. No. He plays fighting games and complains how yeah. I think some things can be funny, like some clips of him are funny, but it's just because it's so over the top that you can't help but laugh at it, but he's completely serious. It was written in that guide to raising a child that you shouldn't dote on them. Kids are kids, if you don't raise them strictly without spoiling them.
ふかふかでバインバインでニパー。
ニパ
I am definitely gonna be a terrible father. Wait, why are you gonna be a... Oh, okay, because he's gonna spoil them. It was decided I would be a doting parent before my child was even born.
そんじゃお客さん、風景の綺麗そうなとこで適当お昼は食べましたかいね。
ええ、ホテルで軽食を。
そんですか。では参りましょうかね。
ひなみ沢観光に出発なのですよ。わーいなのです。
君はリカちゃんでいいのかい？
そうなのですよ。フルでリカと言いますです。もう繰り上がりの足し算とかもできますですよ。
Okay, Rika, I see you.
ああ、そうなの。それは。 すごいな。
お指とかは折ってませんですよ。ちゃんと暗算でできますですよ。
Another tour of it. We did do that in chapter 1, that's true. The way she insisted upon that was just too cute. At some point, the nervousness I had about being alone in enemy territory had evaporated like it was never there at all. I had to be at least a little thankful I met this
じ
girl.
ゃあ出発しましょうかいね。ひなみ沢大自然ウォッチング。
The old man stepped on the gas with a great deal of gusto. What does this mean? We're getting like completely new music in this. Oh, it's the rope bridge here. Why'd he take a picture with Rika there? Also, this is a place we've never seen before. We've seen this. This was in chapter 1 mainly. What is she doing there? This is the crossway to Mion's house. This is where Keiichi like fell down. I don't think we've seen this. The old man, who was apparently named Makino, he was the same Makino that was listed as the auditor of the Onigafuchi Guardians, showed me around places that were all breathtaking. Even though I wasn't really here for sightseeing, I couldn't help but be impressed. First of all, this was different from the simple scenery of a city. The scenery of charming village like this, no matter how mundane it seemed to the villagers, had a tranquil appeal to it. At first, I was only releasing the shutter as part of my tourist act, but midway through I found myself taking pictures out of pure interest. Tourist traps had their own unique allure to them, but there was nothing like that here. I was especially captivated by the unspoiled nature of the place. If there wasn't that whole uproar of the dam, I would want to bring Yukie with me some other time. I wanted her to breathe in this fresh air, as well as show her this rejuvenating, verdant scenery.
こんなのが面白いのですか？
Where is this?
赤坂は変な人なのです。
いや、こういう円筒状の郵便ポストなんて今はとても貴重だよ。
Cylindrical mailboxes.
どことなく漂うノスタルジックな雰囲気は渋いと思わないかな。
ひなみ沢は楽しいですか？
まあ楽しいよ。退院したらぜひ家内を連れてもう一度来たいよ。その時には生まれている子供も一緒。今は出産を控えて入院しているんだ。予定日がもうすぐでね。
Oh, but they're gonna ask like, why are you here, not with your wife?
君みたいな可愛い女の子だといいんだけど。
お客さんはもうすぐおめでたですかいね。そんないけねえよ。奥さん放り出してこんなとこに遊びに来てちゃ。
I was momentarily at a loss for words. It was exactly how Makino said. There was no good reason for a man who was waiting for his wife to give birth to be playing around idly at this place. Did I slip up?
まあひなみ沢への旅行は前々からの予定だったんで、妻の家族が付き添ってくれているから大丈夫だし。
そんなに前から予定してたんならもしかね間に合わんとかいね。いやそんだったらこんな窮屈な思いさせんと綺麗な観光バスで回れたのね。
It didn't seem as if Makino was actually dating for anything, but if this conversation continued any longer, it would put some unexpected holes in my cover. I halted the conversation by pretending to take another picture.
じゃあ最後の一番景色のいいとこさ案内しましょうかね。
It was slightly before evening. The sun was still burning brightly, but a cool breeze had begun to mix itself into the air. It seemed my exploration of Hinamizawa with Rika-chan was just about done.
一番景色のいいところですか？
そんなリカちゃま境内からの景色さを置いて他にはありませんやね。
I wonder if we're gonna meet, like, Mion at all. Hearing that, Rika-chan smiled even more.
では赤坂を僕のお家へご招待なのです。
リカちゃんのお家って。
I just recently watched Eyes Wide Shut, and that was quite the experience. How was that? Like, what is it?
神社ですよ。古で神社。高台にありましてね。景色さ見られるんですよ。
古出神社。
The girl who called Furude Shrine her home, Rika. If I remember correctly, her full name was Rika Furude. And Furude was... That's right. One of the three families. Even if the Sonozaki family is said to hold all the actual power, it was still one of the old houses that held some authority. The Stanley Kubrick film, I honestly don't know how to describe the movie. What made you want to watch it? No, more important than that right now was the Furude Shrine. If I remembered correctly, Oishi had told me, within the grounds of the Furude Shrine, there were the offices of the Onigafuchi Guardians. And since the land around the Furude Shrine was private property, the police couldn't set foot there heedlessly. Furude Shrine, where even Oishi couldn't simply set foot into. The main base of operations for the Onigafuchi Guardians. I had been given this unexpected opportunity to enter there. I couldn't have asked for more.
楽しみです。ぜひお願いします。
じゃあ酒々参りましょうかね。天気も少し怪しいですからな。
The sky had suddenly become overcast. It wouldn't be odd if it started raining soon. The cicadas, as if trying to finish their daily allotment of chirps before the evening, cried out even more fervently. Very cool. Can you nippa? Is that what you wanted? Well, most of this stuff that's going on with the film, there's something about a Oh, okay. So, like, you found it, or you thought it was, like, a good time to watch it as it was topical? Like, obviously not exactly, but similar themes. The van stopped in the shrine's parking lot. How is it evening already? In here. Also parked there were numerous other vans with loudspeakers mounted on top of them to act as makeshift propaganda vehicles. On the side, each vehicle was scrawled, "The dam project must be demolished. Defend our homeland to the last. No Yashiro-sama's anger." 5 nights at Epstein's Island. That would be funny if it wasn't actually so sad when you think about it hard. Vertical banners were erected in various places. The contents of those banners were similar. They were all objections against the dam or crude insults towards the government. There were horizontal banners, placards, and so on and so forth. I always heard based on it was erotic romance thriller or something. But it is not. That is something completely different. They proclaimed that without a doubt this was the headquarters of the Onigafuchi Guardians. For Rika-chan, however, this hectic place was also her home. Some people should die? I think overall it does make it for a better place. Some people do. But it's hard to say. Like, if a person just vanished off the place, like the face of the planet, or died from like some sickness, then I think that's okay. But people should not be killing others, because people killing others just leads to more people killing others, and so on and so forth. But if someone just like happened to die randomly with no input anywhere, then people can't have any agendas. Yes. For Rika-chan, however, this hectic place was also her home.
着きましたのですよ。ただいまなのです。
Rika-chan crawled over my lap and exited the vehicle first. Makino noticed that I was looking at the protest banners.
じゃあダム反対運動の事務所も兼ねてましてね。こんな風景もあんたらには反安保闘争みてえで懐かしいでしょ。
Student movements against government policies. Movements that bordered on terrorist activity were at one time commonplace, if only in order to garner global attention. Students holding out in lecture halls, brawling with the riot squads that charged in. It was an age where wasting one's youth like that was widely considered a road to glory. It was slightly before my time.
私は別に活動家ではありませんので、普通に学び、普通に卒業しました。国の政策に、あのような暴力や立てこもりで対抗しようというのには、私は。
はあ、あんた、それはそれで立派な意見さお持ちだね。
政策に意見したかったら、同じ意見の政治家に投票するか、自ら政治の世界に飛び込み、正当な手続きを持って意見を主張するべきであると思っています。
But what if no political candidate shares your view?
それが民主政治の原点で
There's
す。
a massive conspiracy theory around the film, considering it was Kubrick's last film and he died of a heart attack 5 or so days after screening it in the studio. So what's the conspiracy theory?
それに、暴力で挑戦するなど、あってはならないと思います。
For a youngin, you have some fine beliefs. I saw that feeling of respect reflected in Makino's gaze. At that moment, something tugged at my sleeve.
赤坂が何を言っているのか全然わからないのですよ。
Rika-chan, feeling like she was the only one who didn't understand the conversation, had a look of displeasure on her face. The expression was so charming I had to keep myself from grinning like an idiot. It's often said that a father wants to spoil his daughter rotten. I think I understood that feeling very well.
ごめんね。リカちゃんには難しい話だったね。日本は平和の国だから、自分の言いたいことは平和的に訴えなきゃいけない。暴力で訴えてはいけない。ということさ。
No matter how much I explained, a girl who was just boasting about being able to carry digits over when adding things properly wouldn't understand. It probably wasn't something to talk about in front of Rika-chan anyway.
では赤坂、
Oh, she's gonna drop some crazy knowledge now.
僕たちの村はどうやったらダムに沈まなくなるのですか？
Even I regretted my careless words. It was too late now. There I was at the main headquarters of an organization telling them their way of doing things was illegal. Preaching that violence was not the answer. A complicated feeling had mixed itself with the respect in Makino's gaze. It was then I finally realized. It wasn't that simple. There wasn't a soul who would argue that what I was saying wasn't correct. Using violence to get one way was something that everybody knew you shouldn't be proud of. However, right now, Hinamizawa was in a predicament that couldn't be overcome with peaceful means alone. The legality of the Hinamizawa Dam project through the efforts of various propaganda campaigns enacted by the Onigafuchi Gardens was being called into question. If they further strengthened their campaign, they might be able to suspend or change the construction plans. But that was at most just a possibility. If the government proceeded with the construction as planned, it wouldn't be long before this place was at the bottom of a lake. If it wasn't for the unrestrained resistance of the residents of Hinamizawa, this place might already have been underwater.
僕たちはここでしか生きていけないのです。都会では生きていけないのです。
The words of this remarkably young girl were all too accurate, carrying with them the screams of the hearts and minds of the residents of Hinamizawa. Of course, there's nothing I could say to respond to that. I could only respond to Makino and Rika-chan's heavy words with silence.
すみません。よそ者が気安く言えるような問題ではなかったですね。謝罪します。
Makino, unsure of how to reply for a while, could only laugh pointlessly.
お客人たちのようなよそに住んでる方々には関係ねえことです。ひなみざわさ気に入ってくださったんなら、お客人のお友達みんなにも、ひなみざわさ素晴らし
There's
い
extra
ところだって
content
宣伝してく
Yeah,
だ
just
さい。
toss that Kubrick a bit. Oh, okay. So when did the film release? What year?
さ
Did it
えが
release?
何十年、何百年と広がっていけば、この村さダム底に沈めるなんて、ふざけた計
1999.
画もやがてはついえるんですかね。
So like, I see what you mean. The stuff that's been going about the Epstein's that make so like you feel that, or like so, it's believed that maybe there's some references to like maybe not Epstein and the island, but like the ideas of that within the film that maybe would have been there, but were that had some basis in reality that were then cut. That's the conspiracy. He followed that with a smile and said, "Please don't think of it much." Makino letting me not worry that much was really a stroke of good fortune. Becoming infatuated with the idea of making friends with the little girl had made me completely forget my apprehension at being in enemy territory. Being reminded of this right before I was going to step foot into their headquarters might have been a good thing. We had this exchange in the middle of their office. If there's a short-tempered youth in there, they might have come at me. Thinking of how extreme they were, in the worst case, my life could have been in danger. It seemed that I looked quite despondent at that moment. Makino, thinking he had said something wrong, became flustered, trying to think of a way to improve my
本
mood.
当に軽率なことを言いました。本当にすみませんでした。
いいえ、そんなにお気にされないでください。
今日案内してもらった村のあちこちは、どこもとても美しく、もう一度来たいと、心底思わされました。そんな美しい村が、ダムの湖底に沈むことになれば、必死の戦いになるのもわかります。
I somehow managed to use my despondent look to change the topic in my favor. After a bit, Makino returned to his usual high spirits. It seemed that he believed I completely sympathized with his point of view.
そうそう。そんな話はこれくらいにしましょう。本当にとても景色さえいいところがあるんです。
I wonder if the good ending of Higurashi is that the village gets submerged by the dam. Question mark? Question mark?
行きましょうですよ、赤坂。
Rika-chan, seemingly happy to be free from all the boring, gloomy adult talk, bounded up the stone steps. There was no real reason to run, but in order to catch up with her, I also darted up the steps. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely understand that, Ruben. Yeah, I wonder why he wanted to make it then. Like, what's the reason? Like, because there had to be some reason he wanted to make it. There are several tents belonging to the town council erected on the shrine grounds. Inside the tents were several folding chairs and tables, and a number of the older town council members were livening things up with chit-chat. They weren't saying anything incendiary like, the dam project must be destroyed. It was just some relaxed, idle chit-chat between local geezers. The normal sort of calming scenery. At the entrance of a shed that looked like a meeting place, there was a large sign erected with Onigafuchi Guardians Headquarters written in bold brushstrokes. That was their base of operations. To be honest, it was a bit of a letdown, if you ask what I'd been imagining. This is a bit embarrassing, but I thought it would be something much more dramatic, with barbed wire fences and barricades. My first impression of the place, though, was completely different than that. It looked like a simple, backwater town hall. It didn't look like anything other than exactly that. The old folks who were chatting had noticed Rika-chan's presence.
リカちゃまじゃないの。もう子供はお家に帰る時間だよ。
ここは僕のお家なのですよ。
The old folks guffawed, since she wasn't wrong. With that exchange, I could tell this Rika Furude girl was loved by everybody.
牧野さん、その人？
Kiichiro. This is, Kimiyoshi?
電話をくれた観光の人は？
そんですよ。こちら村長さんに。
Yeah, Kimiyoshi,
南
okay.
沢のKimiyoshi村長さん。
He smiled brightly, but there's no mistaking he'd be scary if he got angry. By the looks of things, this old man was the president of Onigafuchi Guardians. None other than Kiichiro Kimiyoshi himself.
ようこそひなみ沢へ。
He doesn't have OGR for some reason. Maybe, like, he wasn't important enough in OG to have art.
いかがでしたか？静かでゆっくりしたところでしょう。
ええ。今日一日、美しい場所をいくつも堪能させていただきました。貴重な機会をお与えくださったことを感謝します。
へえ、今時の若い方なのに、また真摯な方だね。
喜一郎、赤坂に見晴らしのいいところを案内したいのですよ。
Thinking that the formalities between myself and the mayor had gone on for too long, Rika-chan butted into the conversation. I heard her call the mayor by his first name. Thought it was a little strange, but none of the villagers seemed to mind. Kiichiro. A girl of the Furude household, one of the three houses. She was probably different than the average villager.
赤坂、こっちなのですよ。
Rika-chan tugged at my sleeve. Not resisting, I allowed myself to be pulled over. And waiting for me was a magnificent view.
これは。すごい。
It was an observation deck that looked down on the village. They, knowing that this was the best view in the entire village, kept quiet as I stood there, awestruck. I was holding a camera, but I'd forgotten to even glance through the viewfinder. This view, no matter what kind of film it was printed on, it wouldn't be able to show everything. If there was a way to explain it, it would be what I would only be able to... It would only be what I would be able to put into words. It was just such a breathtakingly spectacular view that I struggled to find a comparison. For a while, I was left awestruck. I could only stand there and wonder. A cool breeze helped abate the heat rushing through my body. That comfortable sensation had also left me speechless. Rika-chan, who had been holding onto my sleeve the entire time, spoke.
僕の一番のお気に入りの場所なのですよ。
As she said that, she showed me another adorable smile. Best way I can describe the feeling that basically finds that she has a fantasy of infidelity which spirals into this weird night being exposed. I see. Okay. Huh. So is there like what's the ending of that? Like, how does it end? That smile seemed very fleeting. If you ask why, that was because the view from her favorite spot would eventually be submerged under the deep green waters of the dam reservoir.
こんな村が湖底に沈むことになってるなんて信じられないよ。
I said it quietly so that only Rika-chan could hear it. I regretted it as soon as I did, for those words were all too cruel. However, Rika-chan didn't let them cast a cloud on her expression. In fact, she replied with a
沈
smile.
みませんよ。ダム計画なんて必ずなくなっちゃいますのです。
It was just like a little girl to say something like that. There was no basis for her saying so. It was just her wish. Or was it?
この村が沈んでしまうと思っていますか？
沈んでほしくなんかないよ。
I knew how important the dam was. I knew that it was necessary. I just didn't want to recognize the sacrifices that would be made. I agreed with the project in general, but couldn't agree with some of the details. But if it meant that this girl's beloved scenery wouldn't be taken away from her, I might be able to object to the dam. I might be able to ignore the interests of the nations, the development of Japan, all for the sake of one girl's smile. I'm not really much of a humanist, but is there a moral, Ruben, or not really? How sentimental of me.
沈みませんよ。ダムの計画はもうすぐなくなりますですから。
Her words weren't just hopes and dreams, but were seasoned with a hint of resolve. As if she was talking about an unchangeably predetermined outcome. As surely as the sun rising in the
もう
east.
すぐなくなる？
Wanted to ask her why she believed that, I turned around.
はい。なくなりますのですよ。
どうしてそう言い切れるんだい？
それはなのです。
She seemed to want to answer, but as though unable to find the right words, she swallowed back what she was about to say.
赤坂が何をしてもしなくても、ダム計画は今年で終わりになってしまうのです。もう決まっていることなのですよ。
That was a lie. If something like that had already been decided, then the Onigafuchi Gardens would have no reason to continue existing. From my point of view, it was like they were doing nothing more than throwing themselves into an endless battle. If they knew the dam project was cancelled, it would feel much more relaxed around here. This village, though, could hardly be called relaxed. For evidence of that, I just had to remember how charged the atmosphere was at the checkpoint, or at the bus stop. The villagers, with their misplaced resolve, were still fighting. And this girl, even knowing the villagers' grim resolve, had already declared their victory. The villagers throwing themselves into this endless war, and this optimistic girl who said they're already won. That contrast was somehow strange.
どうしてそう思うんだい？
And even if we did, as best of pretend we didn't know, to remain ignorant tends to title wide eyes wide. That's a very depressing moral, if that is the case.
何か確信があるなら私に教えてくれないかい？
Rika-chan stayed silent for a while, seemingly choosing what to say.
だって、
だって
She looked like she was lost on whether she should continue or not. As if she was troubled on whether it was okay for her to say it. That kind of
決
expression.
まっていることなのです。他に言いようがないのですよ。
決まっているって言っ
It
たっ
really
て
is just like a little girl to say something like that. I couldn't believe it was actually true. She was the only one saying such things with such confidence. My real mission that I had forgotten about during this fun-filled day resurfaced at the back of my mind. The kidnapping of the minister's grandson. Had the Onigafuchi Guardians kidnapped the minister's grandson and already succeeded in negotiating the cancellation of the dam project? Did Kimiyoshi actually already know that and was just playing dumb? Was that what this girl was really telling me?
赤坂、
The girl called out my name suddenly.
東京へ帰れ。
Huh? I wasn't only surprised at that sudden command. Ever since I came to this village, I never once mentioned I was from Tokyo. Well, based on my accent, she might have been able to guess where I was from. What was I getting so worked up over? It's probably a sudden and complete change in her
あ
demeanor.
なたはさっさと東京に帰った方がいい。でないとひどく後悔することになる。
The girl had been holding my sleeve the entire time. She'd been tugging at my sleeve since, hurriedly dragging me over to show me this wonderful view. This was the adorable Rika-chan who I'd spent the entire day with. There's no way she could have been replaced with a doppelganger when I wasn't looking. She had been holding onto my sleeve this entire time, but somehow this girl was someone other than Rika-chan. She looked like Rika-chan, but she wasn't. She was some girl I had never met before. The girl had told me in an indifferent voice that I would eventually regret coming to this village from the bottom of my
それ
heart.
があまりにもみすぼらしくて気の毒な姿だから今のうちから警告してあげているのです。
どうして私が後悔することになると。
いちいちうるさいな。
I couldn't believe that I was hearing such cold words coming from Rika-chan's mouth. I just couldn't believe it. Was somebody impersonating her, using ventriloquism or something? Thinking that I wanted to take a look around, but the girl's gaze had me pinned down, making me unable to
あ
move.
なたの親はあなたが赤信号の横断歩道の真ん中にいるときどうして危ないのかを全部説明し終えるまであなたの手を引っ張らないの？引っ張るでしょ。まず歩道まで連れ戻してからなぜ危険なのかを解くでしょう。つまりはそういうこと。
Okay, but they explain after. They pull you back because they need to save you at that current point in time, and then they're like, okay, it's not safe to go because it's green and the cars are passing. And said event hasn't happened yet. But I'm assuming they're saying go back to Tokyo, that it's never gonna be explained to him. The girl that I had spent time with Rika, Rika Furude, would not speak like that. She would speak with a cuteness befitting her age, with brief, childish remarks, expressing her emotions honestly. She definitely wouldn't speak with such pointed words.
警告はした。勘違いしないでほしいのは私があなたを嫌いだからこういうことを言ってるわけじゃないってこと。
Yeah, it's the first time we're hearing Rika in like a mature voice.
死んでもいい人に危険なんかを教える必要はないのだし。
君は誰だ？リカちゃんじゃない。
ん
As soon as I accused her of not being Rika-chan, she let out a strange, quiet giggle. It was a laugh not befitting of a child her age. It was like she was possessed by something. Her change was that total and complete. Was Rika-chan being attacked by some terrifying phenomenon? That occult idea came to mind without any sort of hesitation. Rika-chan's acting strange. Somebody help! Thinking that I yelled at, I turned to where the mayor was. I immediately realized he was looking at us with a smile. That's right. To him it looked like nothing more than me and Rika-chan fooling around. He didn't notice that there was something terrifying happening to her. Switch to OG real quick. Okay, Rika! What does Manga Gamer look like? Looks completely derpy. His subtle smirk in OG is just gross. It doesn't even look like it. It looks like her normal face. The girl had obviously grasped that I was afraid. Noticing that and calling me a coward, she laughed again. That cackling girl approaching me in a strange manner while still laughing, lost her balance and fell flat on her face. Rika-chan fell down. It was just a while before I would have extended a hand to help her up without hesitation. But now, extending a hand to this ominous girl who looked like Rika-chan but wasn't, required a bit more courage than I had at that moment.
Me.
The girl cried out thus. She then squirmed upright and dusted herself off. Afterwards, she looked around restlessly as a blank expression crept across her face. You've got to be kidding me. Was she making fun of me? That way of acting. It was as though after being possessed by something, she had lost her memories of what had happened.
冗談だろ。リカちゃん。
Me.
I don't know if Rika-chan had heard me or not. She just cried out like that, as if questioning herself.
お客人、リカちゃまもお茶が入りましたよ。塩大福も
The
ある
old
から
lady
に
voice.
ぜひ食ってきんさいな。
An old. What does she look like in this original? She looks exactly the same as her older version. Like, it doesn't look like she looks younger, at least to me. Maybe because I haven't seen enough of the OG art. Hearing that there were snacks, Yuka-chan's expression changed.
はーいなのです。
A carefree smile. That was a familiar smile. The one that belonged to the embodiment of my ideal daughter. Yeah, it's the same. Okay. It's the same in both time periods. Okay. Any hint of the creepy girl that was just there spouting sinister words had vanished.
ほら、リカちゃま。手を洗ってきんさいね。バッチおててにゃ食わせるまんじゅうありんせんね。ちゃんと洗いますですよ。
Alright.
みー。
Wash hands. Let's go. Yuka-chan responded with vigor, running off to the washing station that was along the side of the office. She stopped halfway, turning around to call me.
早く来ないから、僕は赤坂の分までおまんじゅうが食べられてホクホクなのです。お手手を洗わない
It's
人
time to
は
wash our
おまん
hands.
じゅうが食べられないのですよ。
True, Rika. True words have never been more said. No matter how you looked at it, that was Rika-chan. Those words and the way she said them, no matter how you heard them, they were definitely Rika-chan's.
ほんで、お客人。大人なんだから、お手本
Show
を
her
示
how
してやっ
what's
てく
done.
ださいな。
Had to wash your hands? The old lady urged me to wash my hands. I guess so. Without any resistance, I lined up beside Rika-chan at the wash station. Splish, splash. I stared at Rika-chan, intent on washing her hands properly, like she had probably learned at school.
みー、間違っていますか？
間違いって。
僕のお手手の洗い方です。金シールを4個しかもらったことないです。僕はお手手を洗うのがきっと下手
But
なの
that's
ですよ。
4 stickers, Rika. What do you mean you're bad at it? I think that's pretty good.
間違ってなんかないよ。それだけしっかり洗えてれば十分だよ。
それだけではダメなのですよ。赤坂、ちゃんとたわしを使って爪の間の赤も落とさないと金シールをも
What
らえ
are
ない
they
の
teaching
です。
to... A brush and clean out the dirt underneath your fingernails. Is this a thing that people do to wash their hands? That I've never heard of?
リカちゃんは真面目で偉いな。
ニパー、赤坂に褒められましたのです。
No matter how you looked at it, it was Rika-chan. There was no trace of that girl from before. Exactly what was that sinister girl?
リカちゃん、さっきのあれは。
Yeah, I guess so.
さっきリカちゃんは私に東京へ帰れってそう言っただろ。
言いましたのですか？
I was at a loss for words. She didn't remember what that girl just now had said. Like I'd ever believe something as occult as that could happen. Like I'd ever believe that Rika-chan could be possessed by that strange girl and say those creepy things.
リカちゃんが確かにそう言ったよ。
みー。
Fuck you. Is that how you greet me, hamburger? Her expression told me that. Despite my saying so, she had no idea. She wasn't playing dumb, she actually didn't know. Exactly what was that just now? Just as Rika-chan had, I let a look of confusion creep across my face. The two of us, both looking like we had no idea what was going on, must have certainly been a humorous sight to behold. I'll now leave since I'm only here to say a show I'm alive, but waiting until it finishes. Yeah, okay, no problem. No problem, hamburger. You can always stop by whenever you feel like it. It's no worries then. It's not an obligation. While partaking of tea and snacks, I was shown a propaganda film shot by the Guardians that highlighted their resistance efforts. Older folks talked passionately on how long and grueling the fight against the dam was, but they fell on deaf ears. I was transfixed by Rika-chan, who had heard these stories countless times before, and was nodding off. It'll be a bit before you do 5? I think so. Because we did like 2, 3, 4 like in a row. So I think after questions, it'll be good to take a break. I'll probably finish Dredge, do one more game, and then we'll start back up with something else. Eventually, Rika-chan noticed I was staring at her and smiled as she rubbed her eyes. That smile was Rika-chan's after all. There was no hint of that sinister shadow. Hope you're doing well though, hamburger, if you're still here. After that, my unreasonable fear of Rika-chan lessened with the passing of time, but I could by no means forget what had happened. It eventually grew dark. The mayor said that they had prepared dinner, but I said I would come again tomorrow and took my leave. I had to return to the hotel and file my regular report with the section chief.
そうですか。では、また明日もぜひいらっしゃい。お電話さくれれば、すぐに迎えを出しますんでね。
ご好意感謝します。ぜひ明日も遊びに来ようと思います。
ええ、さしてあげてくださいな。あんた、レイカちゃまに大層気に入られたみたいだしね。
赤坂は明日も来ますですか？
The other person was saying to go back to Tokyo. Okay. Interesting. I would eventually regret coming to this village from the bottom of my heart. I wonder if that's a threat to him or a threat to saying like you should be with your wife. I wonder. The secret stage boss in 6? Is there a secret boss in chapter 6 then?
明日は5次元で終わりですから、3時くらいに来てくれると嬉しいのですよ。
Please come again. A pure smile urged me to do so. It wasn't a trace of that evil aura. Depending on what happened next, all that might end up as nothing other than my hallucination. Oh, for Toho. Okay, that makes sense. There's no secret boss in Higurashi chapter 6? I don't know. Maybe there's a secret boss that you have to unlock by pressing like up, down, left, right, BA in like the specific panel. You never know. If the daughter of the Furude household, one of the 3 families had taken a liking to me, and this was a strong foothold for my investigation here on out. I'm just saying. It was like a free ticket for a reason to visit Inamizawa. If only I could treat that little incident as a figment of my imagination. And having this girl who was the embodiment of my ideal daughter grow so attached to me wasn't bad either. I had successfully dove into the belly of the Onigafuchi Guardians, and had the mayor as well as the other important members of the alliance welcome me with open arms. So, I This is not the year where the dismemberment happens, right? Where they like the person was killed and they cut the body into multiple pieces, right? Like because this is the year before that. Yeah, because she said in a year's time the dams project is gonna end. Yeah, okay, it did say that. So the fact that it's gonna be 1 year means that in 1 year's time, that's when the dismemberment's gonna happen. What are your thoughts? Yes, this year doesn't happen. Okay, yes. On what exactly? My thoughts on what? I successfully dove into the belly of the Onigafuchi Guardians and had the mayor as well as the other important members of the alliance welcome me with open arms. Rika. I think it's something similar to Mion. The way the demon overtook her. So I'm guessing it's something with the three families. And there's still one character that we have no clue who they are. There's like the daughter for the Kimiyoshis or whatever that we have never met. I still remember that one time we got that phone call when Kimiyoshi went missing in chapter 2. And then oh, this is Kimiyoshi, or like we're looking for whatever his name was. And then Keishi was like, I don't know where he is. And then she was like, okay, goodbye, and hung up. And that was the only time we ever heard that voice. So it feels like that's important. So I'm guessing that voice, Rika, and Mion all can get possessed in some shape or form. But why? I don't know. There's also Shion, who I don't really get it. Like, I still don't understand why Shion in chapter 2 also went like laughing mode there. Like, why? How someone was able to disguise? Because Shion was locked up during that time. Yeah, Shion was locked up during the time there was the phone calls. So is that Mion, or is that actually Shion? I just don't know why, there was that call, and then Keishi, like, called her out, and then she just did the maniacal laughter, and then hung up. That's the other thing I just don't get. However, I still felt uneasy. Getting back to the hotel, I forced down an almost painfully cold beer until I could clear my mind. The shock from that incomprehensibly strange incident continued to torment me. Okay. I am extremely tired, so I will just be doing this chapter tonight. But tomorrow, I'll probably look to do 2, depending on how long it is. Like, I mean, I'll try to go for 2 hours tomorrow. Answers article. Answer those questions. Okay. Met with someone's adorable daughter. Achievement unlocked. Oh! What's happening here? The sound of the car grew closer, followed by the sound of it braking as the engines cut off. At that moment, his up until now lackadaisical footsteps grew decisive as the man in the room dashed up to the wall beside the window and carefully peered outside. It was his comrade's car. Even so, he didn't relax his guard. Eventually, the sound of footsteps approached the door. Thump, 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 thump. It was the passcode.
帰ってきたね。開けちょくれな。ああ、お疲れ。今開ける。
After the locks were undone and the door opened, a man appeared, his arms laden with swollen plastic grocery bags. The bags in his hands had Sevens March written on them, with bread and milk cartons able to be glimpsed within. Can't wait to start episode 3 again after I'm done moving. Yeah! When is the, has that been decided when it'll be? Tomorrow we're bringing the belongings over to the new house. Let's go! Let's go! Wish you good luck!
カップラーメン買ってきちゃう。お湯沸かせな。小僧はどうしてる？ ずっと寝てる。手がかからなくて助かるよ。うんこ垂れるときは騒ぐけどな。漏らさせんな。練習は万一のとき、やばいって。
The movers will come for the furniture on Monday. Okay. So, I guess, like, just, I guess, shelves and all that stuff you'll be moving over. And then on Monday. That's gonna be a while ago, though. That you guys are bringing belongings over and then have to wait till Monday for furniture? Why don't you guys bring belongings later?
わかってるよ。猿グツワは定期的にチェックんな。外れてもまずいん。きつくも締め付けちゃあん。窒息させたら意味がなん。わかってるって。あれ、携帯コンロのガス管頼まなかった？もうガスねえよ。聞いてねえ。だは。
Yeah, agent.
マジかよ。ついて
What
く
is
れ
an
よ。
agent?
くそ、くそ。
I guess that's fair, yeah. And I guess it's also dependent on how much stuff you have to move. That's also a thing. You rattle the portable stove as he struggled to get it to light. Seeing that, the man who went to buy supplies let out a deep sigh. With a backwards glance at that sight, began to walk to the corner of the room. The kidnapped boy was sprawled out on a sheet that was spread out on the floor.
小僧、元気かいね。
Of course, the man didn't assume the kid was able to hear that question. That was because the boy's ears were plugged, with his eyes and ears thoroughly covered by packing tape. Damn! They're really not keeping him in good conditions. Also, his mouth was gagged with a thin, twisted-up towel. Because of that, the boy was able to close his mouth properly, his cheeks sticky with his own saliva. Of course, that wasn't the only reason. Both his arms were tied behind his back with a leather belt.
今んところ、順調らし。命の心配はない。お前のじいさんがしぶりよったん。耳たぶの一つも切り落とさなきゃならんかったんけ。本家はこうと決めたら、鬼やんね。どんな残酷なこと命令するかも想像つかん。その本家が、小僧に傷一つつけるな言うてんから、とにかく、順調なんだろんな。大臣はダム計画を撤回で水面下工作。ひなみ沢ダム計画は無期凍結へ。
Okay.
小僧の解放はいつ頃になるんだろうな。早く一服したいもんだぜ。本家が決着のタイミング、測ってるらしい。いつになるかはあらんが、近いうちやんな。よかったな、小僧。もうじき解放されるぞ。
The men didn't know their voices were heard by the boy. For him, there was nothing he could do but continue to sleep to escape his harsh reality.
それよん。ガスをどうするんね。ラーメン食えんよ。ガス切れたなら言うてえな、もう。
They're not treating him, like, well at all. Why I like rainy days. The weather forecast had predicted that it would rain at all this week. It's not that I hate sunny days or anything. When every day is the same, unchanging sunny weather, however, anybody would long... I agree. And anytime I say this, people call me, like, so crazy. If every day is the same, if it's sunny every single day, it's so boring, man. I lived in a desert for 10 years of my life. Every single day is a sunny day. If it's simply clear skies for a week, a month, a year, anybody would long for a rain cloud or two. Weather specialists said that they had carefully scrutinized a large quantity of past data, so it wouldn't be so likely for the weathercast to be wrong. I knew as much. But even then, there was occasionally a day where I was hoping they would be wrong, as I stared up into the clear blue sky. Was I being mischievous in hoping so? I waited and waited, feeling almost suffocated by the boring blue sky, undisturbed by a single cloud. Yeah, no, I mean, now that I live in Canada, it's, cool. We got snow for the first time this winter, and probably only time this winter, today, which was great. I was just walking, like, I was, it was coming home from work. I was just walking And then suddenly, like, I was looking down my phone, and then suddenly I saw, like, just white specks dropping. I'm like, okay, is that the tree or something? Then I realized, no, it's actually snow. If you could die from the suffocating feeling, the population of Earth probably wouldn't have increased at this point. No snow. Yeah. I did not see snow for much. Only when I moved here, I started actually seeing snow, which is great. I mean, it's great because I don't have to clean up after the snow. People who have to shovel their driveway and put rock salt and, like, deal with frost and all that, I do not want to be the one that deals with snow. But as I'm in an apartment area, and other people, like, you know, they hire people to shovel the apartment and all that, I don't need to worry about any of that. And I also don't have a car, so I don't need to worry about putting snow from my car either. And so, I welcome the summer evenings when not even the weather forecast can predict a sudden shower. If I were to explain it like this, you would understand it a bit more about how I feel. Wait, this is Keiichi's house! Let's say that tonight's dinner was going to be curry rice. When you're called down to the dinner table, what was waiting for you was instead an eggplant and bell pepper stir-fry. This is just on your mother's whim, by the way. I'll be delighted by such whimsy. I don't really like eggplants or bell peppers, but still, I'll be delighted. The fact that the pre-established routine of curry rice had been broken would be amusing. If tonight was repeated 100 times and 100 times you had to eat curry rice, yet for just this one night it was changed to an eggplant and bell pepper stir-fry, there's no way you couldn't enjoy that chance happening. I guess it depends how much you like curry rice. Or as Surplus would say, chili rice. I hate pre-established routines. I really hate when things are all decided beforehand. I have no love for boredom. I always get my hopes up that something today will be different from yesterday, no matter how trivial. It had been decided that the entire week starting today was going to be clear skies. The weather forecast decided upon it, so the god of weather must also feel obliged to do so. But who's to say that a rain cloud might not just show up one day on a whim? It's something that nobody could say for sure, but because that thought remains in this world, a creature such as myself can continue living without being suffocated. Tomorrow will probably be a hot and clear day. However, I am the only one that knows the predetermined fate, even with but a slim 1% chance, sometimes changes. Hoping for that 1%, I hung upside down weather charms on my sunlit eaves troughs. In the end, I spent my days waiting for those unexpected things in life to happen. I pondered why I was hoping for it. Why was I hoping for a rain cloud? The answer was simple. I had my fill of clear skies. Then why was I hoping for a rain cloud? The answer was simple. The fact that it was going to be sunny tomorrow was boring. So why was I hoping for a rain cloud? In the end, it doesn't really matter where the rains or shines tomorrow. Basically, it was that the rain would water my heart, which was withered with boredom. That's why rather than a TV drama where the plot's already been decided, I prefer to look up at the sky. Higurashi Kai. What is Higurashi Kai?
だいぶ血圧も良くなってきましたよ。そのお年でこれだけの回復力があるのは、いやいや、
Kai equals answers.
感服す
okay.
るばかりです。お嬢さんなら100でも200でも元気にお過ごしになれますね。
The young doctor in his medical coat said that as he undid the blood pressure cuff from the arm of the old woman tucked away in her futon. Oh my gosh, she is like a corpse. She is a walking corpse.
若者の邪魔になっていけんね。
The old lady, Oreo, laughed faintly with a broad smile on her face. Then turning towards the sliding doors, she called out in a strong voice.
しみこさん、かたえこさんおらんね。入江先生に麦茶でも入れてやれやな。
Dude, she looks like she could die any second. Like, I could blow on her, and she'll fall over and die. Sound of rushed footsteps from the hallway drew closer until finally the door slid smoothly open. What it revealed was a young girl. It looked like the old lady's granddaughter.
シミコさんは今日はもう上がっちゃったよ。
Mion!
みよ、入江の先生に麦茶を入れたってんな。
うん、了解。抹茶も飲む？紅茶の方がいい？砂糖もミルクもたっぷり？
わしが加減するから入れんでええんね。砂糖壺とミルクも
Whereas
一緒
Rika
に持っ
has
てきて
like
んな。
pretty close to like, you know, Rika has a pretty similar voice to how she has in the main game. Mion's voice sounds like it still has her mannerisms, but her voice is very different.
はいはい。
The girl named Mion, after giving a rather uninterested response to her taskmaster of a grandmother, returned to the hallway.
先生の麦茶は来客用のガラスジャーに入れるんよ。ちゃんとお座布団もつけてな。水滴もちゃんと拭き取っとくんね。
わーってるって、うっさいな。
Tired voice wafted a reply from down the hallway. The apathetic tone of voice was far from unusual. The old lady let out a wry smile slip across her face as she chided the girl.
しょうがないやっちゃな。叱られるうちが離んねえなった。
You're a fussy pants. Why am I a fussy pants? What did I do? Alright, my pants are cool. My pants are covered in like the sausage dogs, but they're wearing sweaters, okay? And they have reindeer antlers, okay? That I have
おりょ
cool
うさん、おりょう
pants.
さん。まあ。そこまでは言わなくても、ミオンちゃんも若いなりに頑張ってますから。
あれの母親もな、しょうがないやっちゃったんね。よう似とる。
で、その母親の母親もまたそっくりなんじゃないですか？
The old lady burst out laughing. Her expression showed she had taken the comment the wrong way.
入江先生、申し訳ない。症状開けてもらえんけんね。風が涼しそうだわ。
Is it the same voice actor, or did they get a different voice actor to voice young Mion? The cool chirping of the Higurashi at some point started leaking through the gap in the doorway. Irie stood up and opened the door a bit. A refreshing breeze pushed out the stale air that had built up in the room. Pretty sure it's
日
her.
中
Okay.
はだいぶ暑くなったように思うんですが、まだ朝夕は涼しいですね。
Irie looks the exact same.
夕
He
べは
doesn't look older.
少し肌寒いくらいでした。
そんな朝夕もまた、ひなみ沢のいいところな。
Irie replied with a smile as he returned to sit on the cushion beside the old lady. And then the two of them, for a little while, soaked in the voices of the Higurashi.
わしゃ100まで生きにせ。
Okay,
も
Oreo?
うしばらくは死ねんよ。ダムの剣、きっちり蹴りつけるまでは、勘の
Yeah, I'm
深か
pretty
っ
sure
て
this is the
収まらん
first time
わ
we've ever heard her talk. We've never heard, like, we've always heard people talk about her. We've never seen her talk before.
国が一度決めたことを撤回するのは、なかなか難しいでしょうね。
国のやることはな、いつの世も、一周済ますみたいなもんね。そんでも、
I don't know if how did Irie look like an original? Why'd they, like, make him look like an actual scientist?
石臼ですか？
知らんねか、イシュース。
Irie quickly affirmed that of course he knew what the old lady was talking about, for he knew full well that Oreo didn't like having her stories
国
interrupted.
のイシュースはな、なんでもゴリゴリ引いちまうん。大したもんよ。でもな、簡単には回らない。重いイシュースなんねん。
So even though Dianea, you used OG art, right? Did you see these character models then?
たくさんの人間が せーのってやって、ようやくじりじりと動き出す。
Yeah, okay.
そんな石臼なんよ。
Idiot pursed his lips, listening quietly to what she was saying. Eventually, Mion returned with some tea laid out on a tray. Seeing that Oreo was talking and in a good mood, she quietly knelt down and laid out the sets for the barley and black tea, careful not to
だ
interrupt.
から、一度回り始めたら、簡単には止められんね。回し始める一番初めが一番重い。それが嫌だから、みんな手を休めんと、ゴリゴリ回し続けるんね。
摩擦係数の話でしょ。確かにバッチャの話、理屈はあるね。
ちゅうことはだ。何かの間違いで、突然石臼が止まっちまったら、また回すにはどえらい力がかかる。
I mean, makes sense. Like, it's... Yeah, okay, sure. Just another way of saying, like, Newton's force or whatever. Like, you know, the thing that people always say that an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an equal or opposite force.
確かに、一度中断した計画をもう一度動かすのに必要なエネルギーはかなりのものでしょうね。
簡単には止められん石臼だけどな。一度止めれば二度とは回らん。そういう石臼よ。
石臼を止めるいい手があればいいんですがね。
Yeah, that is pretty accurate, Dinah. That is exactly what I was going for. Actually, yeah. Oh yeah, I call hamburger Harry, but oh, okay. I thought maybe you called. I thought maybe you call hamburger to the stream or something. And I thought maybe they might have been saying fuck you to you. Okay. Hideo, instinctively thinking he had said something rude, searched in a small panic for the words to correct himself. That silence wasn't the result of rude words. What crept across Mion and the old lady's faces were contemptuous smiles. What? She literally looks like I mean, she looks happy, right? But she looks like peaceful in death. She looks like she's lying down in a coffin right now, and this is her death smile. Why does this look like that? This is like 6 years in the past. Yeah, 5 years in the past, yeah. The atmosphere surrounding Udir suddenly froze, leaving him flabbergasted. 6 or 7? Question mark? It hadn't been that long at all since he was enveloped by silence. However, unable to stand it, Idia could only let out a weak laugh. Idia's laugh eventually spread to Mion and the old lady, not knowing exactly what they were laughing about. Their laughter left a lingering chill. The only ones not laughing were the Higurashi, who continued their simple and unchanging course. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna go drop dead for like 12 hours. I have not gotten proper sleep for the past few days, so I'm going to, yeah. It's like Oreo, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna become a corpse for a bit. Tomorrow will be a, normal, Oreo, as Surplus calls it. I mean, it's like, it's the most, how do you say? Like, it is the English way of really calling her Oreo. Like, yeah, Oreo. But, Japanese is like, Oreo, I think. I think that's right. I don't know. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, Oreo. Okay, something like that. So anime, sorry. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Yes, I mean, I guess Japanese is anime-like. That is true. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna go fall asleep, and we'll see how long I fall asleep for. It's probably gonna be a long time. Okay. Thank you for everyone who stopped by the stream. I appreciate it, and I'll be back with more Higurashi tomorrow. And we will go for... I'll try to go for 2 segments, but we'll see. Depends how long they are. So, if it's like short like this one, we'll go for 1. Or so we'll go for 2. If it's long like this one, we'll go for